Well, hello everyone. Earlier today I just saw Black Panther Wakanda Forever, the long-awaited sequel to 2018's Black Panther, and in the final film in Phase 4 for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, studio's 30th film overall, and I gotta say, even with the Herculean task of following up such an acclaimed successful film, not to mention everything that's transpired since its release in 2018, director Ryan Coogler, as well as the cast have put all the stops on, make a satisfying finale to who for this phase of the franchise, but also a fitting tribute to its beloved late star. So let's begin. The main story takes place 1 year after the death of King T'Challa, mirroring Ian Boseman's real life passing him from cancer at age 43. And as a king of Wakanda tries to determine the best path forward, as well as to find a new hero to take over the mantle of Black Panther, a mysterious as being known as Namor Submariner, played by a Tanaka Huerta of Neo Hercos fame, seeks to who who challenge the surface, and in more ways than one, it's not clear even from his first appearance into his final scene whether or not he's truly friend or foe. And on top of that, I think they did a good job of reimagining the character, especially since since they wanted to make a standalone own Submariner film for a while, but unlike Aquaman, and who much of the DC characters are all primarily owned by Warner Brothers, at least for now, it is he the film rights for him are still partially owned by Universal, so much like the Hulk's appearance in Thor Ragnarok and the Avengers films, that was the solution. Yeah. And be that as it may, it's definitely another standout element in this film, joining the already impressive cast. On top of him technically being a mutant in this continuity, there's also even more clear hints about how they're going to fold the X-Men into this continuity now they clear a tape with Fox. Fox, mean, I won't be going into detail here, which will give an idea of how much it floored me. And with that being the case, is it's clear that I also like how they brought back a lot of the crew from the last movie as well, like the award-winning costume designer Ruth Carter, as well as the same production designer. Not only adding to the tapestry of Wakanda's traditional African and setting, as well as its otherworldly vibranium powered tech, but also with I had to say that the whole Mesoamerican spin of Atlantis in this film is one of the most unique versions I've seen in ages. I mean, especially given how it reminded me a lot of like how they did something similar for like Atlantis Lost Empire, which should give I think the mouse for if this live action remake of that is still happening, this would be a good time to follow. I mean, it is definitely he their most ambitious in scope film since the Avengers films, and also arguably the most anticipated his standalone movie since No Way Home, which makes sense because I would even argue that not only is my favorite one in space since No Way Home, it easily ranks among the best standalone films to date in the entire franchise. It also helps that even though there is some levity and when something is admittedly kind of crazy, like how they introduced Ironheart and how she basically built her arc reactor powered suit out of stuff lying around the garage. Not quite the cave in a box of scraps, but a close second. And when a serious situation is on screen, is treated as such. I mean, it definitely makes me wonder how to approach. Like, I was contemplating a video about how grief, in many ways, like the true villain of this phase of the franchise, and now I'm certain. But it probably won't be until after my spoiler review of this movie whenever it streams Disney Plus, which probably won't be for until oh December or January the earliest by my counts. With that being the case, it definitely held my attention. I didn't even visit the men's room. I mean, again, I mentioned this before in previous reviews, but it's that's how they determined I was ASD when I was younger, not ADD. Like how someone ADD wouldn't have the attention span for like a 90-minute romantic comedy, let alone like a 161-minute sci-fi fantasy epic that deals with superheroes and Afrofuturism. I mean, given how Coogler also worked with Earthwood Boseman in the past, even before he directed these movies, he definitely was paying a tribute not just someone he worked with, but to a friend. I mean, he had known for many years. I mean, I can feel that in each frame, and even like the vanity plates, he had stunned the entire theater in silence, especially the whole prologue. When given how the situation, especially with the loss of a loved one over the last couple of years, it's especially got some kind of emotional weight to it there, and definitely he is still very impressive in his show of blockbuster action, and especially liking how the sequences like the final battle both on the seas as well as in the deserts, and also some other sequences. This is in Massachusetts. It's not quite up to the same level as, say, like the Busan sequence in the last movie in terms of car chases, but I'd say it definitely works a different way, especially with how they manage to turn their pursuers' own vans against them. Mm. And given how Kugler has experience of both a personal drama for Fail Station as well as Action Patrol Creed, the first one in 2015, it is definitely something he rose to the occasion. It sports a $250 million budget, so in the ballpark of an Avengers film, and I know I use this analogy a lot, but you see a bit of that money on the screen, and like especially in terms of how many advanced CGI they made, even since the last movie, and also definitely a lot of practical action in the fights as well. I mean, especially the whole one-on-one sequence where they try and minimize the cutting and try and keep all the action in the camera. I mean, it's definitely ranks as some of the best action I've seen in ever since in the first Iron Man, and in terms of the uniqueness and how they did the presentation. And whatever happens in Phase 5, I'll get into that in my coming attractions, with the and beyond with the multiverse saga, it definitely is going to be quite a ride. I mean, I've argued before that much like Godzilla and James Bond, even with the variation in quality starting to sink in, and there is a core group of people who are willing to find something to enjoy in almost all of them, even the less well-received ones, and that's totally fine. I plan on addressing this when I talk much more about She-Hulk after I finish binging them. I want to do those first, but stuff happened, you know? And there's definitely quite a spectacle with Atlantean and Demigod flying on his winged feet, but something as simple as like a funeral pyre on the beach can make the biggest impact of all, man. And I'm just kind of glad I didn't listen to the OST before I saw this, but it made, to be honest, lift me up way more impressive, especially as it goes over the credits. Just a funeral pyre. Yeah. So I give this a spectacular 4 stars out of 4. And now on to my coming attractions. Okay, so leading off with November 23rd, Devotion again. I'm deliberately keeping expectations low for this one, and even though what I have been hearing so far is actually quite positive, it's nothing I can't wait to come out on VOD. I mean, especially since I'm looking forward to Nolan's next film, that deals with war, known as Oppenheimer. Saw the poster for that. It's coming next July, and he took the film to Universal after his his relationship with Warner Brothers soured, and I can understand why, given the circumstances. I mean, definitely glad he got out before stuff like Batgirl and Skooks and other films started and having the axe fall, but I'll talk about that more in a few moments. Okay, so December 16th, Avatar The Way of Water, my personal main one I'm pursuing theatrically in December. I mean, I might have my nephew still with me. He, when it opens, might not. And I definitely don't have an issue with the runtime at all, given how it wouldn't be the first one of that scope I've seen. I mean, the last movie was 162 minutes in theatrical cut alone. I definitely plan on watching that again, as well as the extended and the ultimate cuts. Before I do a review of it, to make sure I have all the details correct. I'm also still contemplating doing Titanic as well as 25th anniversary. And even though I'm still trying to piece together the story, I will admit the second trailer is giving me a bit more detail, and I will say the visuals are still the best thing about it. I mean, that looks like real water. How many advances we made since the first film, and I will say that James definitely had the curve in doing the visual effects from home, and I also saw his comments about the movie I just saw, and it doesn't concern me. I am familiar with his ego, even when I reviewed his C films. I mean, I think when you make two of the most successful films ever made, you kind of have reputation, and so yeah. Okay, so December 21st, just in time for the winter solstice, is Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, the oft-delayed sequel to the 2011 standalone Puss in Boots film, and a spin-off of the Shrek franchise. Still working on rebooting that with the original cast and creative team in tow as well. And with that being the case, even though I wasn't a huge fan of the first Puss in Boots movie, I think this one could work. Especially with the changing animation style, maybe it's 2.5D kind of look. I mean, I could definitely tell that someone at DreamWorks definitely caught the bug, or perhaps like the spider that Spider-Verse sewed. It's like, you can tell it's CG, but have a lot of habits from 2D animation, like the lighting, the color palette, the motion habits. But I mean, I don't know about seeing it theatrically, but I would not say no to watching it at home when it comes on streaming. Heck, I still haven't even seen The Bad Guys. And that was on both Peacock and Netflix, so that definitely shows how sometimes I am known to stick by my opinions and my reluctance, no matter how unpopular it might be. Okay, so March 17th is Shazam! Fury of the Gods. It's definitely be lucky with St. Patrick's Day, I would say. And the sequel to the 2019 hit Shazam, and which sees both the cast as well as David F. Sandberg reunite to direct. I mean, basically picks up where the last movie left off now that Billy Batson and his adoptive family all have the powers of Shazam. It's attracted all sorts of attention, and as someone who loved the first film, and even admitted that Black Adam wasn't that bad a film, even if it wasn't quite the breath of fresh air as Shazam was, I think this one could definitely be pretty entertaining. I mean, managing to transplant the whole golden silver age absurdity of the title character into a modern day setting, and I mean, definitely. And also liking how the new antagonist coming as well, and even though Mr. Mind got to come on the floor, I'm thinking they could still find a way to work him in a future film if this one's a hit. And as I mentioned before, I'm still dealing with the WB Discovery situation that comes. I might do a follow-up on the video I did in August, why I put HBO Max and Relax on hiatus. Especially given how the stock prices are at the lowest they've been in decades. But until then, my policy is this. I support the projects and creators I believe in, and laugh and joke about these corporate suits all day. I mean, hey, I mean, since you know me, that's the kind of person I am at this point in my life. The more I have to talk about how like the a cast and filmmakers, the better. The more I have to talk about like the business side of the business, well, that's the kind of stuff that keeps me up at night. Yeah. Last but definitely not least is once again Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves. Aves again, and the ride I took there also shared my opinion that we definitely have a lot of advanced in special effects since the one 2000, which I might consider looking at before this one comes out. I got moved forward a bit to provide some breathing room for other releases and Paramount reshuffle their slate again. Heck, that definitely is. I was never expecting that would be like part of my pop culture age where I'm old enough to remember when changing movies released it multiple times was the exception and not the rule. I mean, but still, I think it looks like it could be fun. I mean, it's clearly not taking itself seriously, like say like a Wizarding World movie or a Middle Earth adaptation, or definitely not House of Dragon would be. But I mean, if it ends up not doing well, I guess it could almost Critical Role. But if it does, it could pave the way for similar films. And again, things like the Owl Bear and the Gelatinous Cube. Definitely, the creativity is definitely there. And again, even though the creators of the game may have passed on, what left behind has changed all people's lives. I mean, the legacy it's left on the role-playing game landscape is definitely secure, or both on the tabletop game and even inspiring some digital adaptations like Baldur's Gate. So, anyway, that'll be all for now. I'll see you all again soon. Wakanda Forever.